I'm John Rollo.
I'm Binky Jones.
Binky Jones. And we're here to talk a little bit about Shogun Fights today. First thing that we want to talk about is Shogun Fights 12, which happened this past fall. And we have some footage of Binky's last fight in the Shogun cage, which set him up for a title shot at the upcoming show. Let's take a look, and Binky and I will do a little talking while this is playing. Here we go. Chris come at Binky. Threw a wild punch. Binky countered and caught Chris off balance, lunging in. You know, here's another shot of it. Coming through, nice little jab, right hand. On to the Kimura, which was the finishing maneuver here. See, Binky has that arm. This is a very painful hold once you get the arm extended. That's what Binky's working to do right here. Trying to get that arm free. Chris is defending. He knows what's coming. And I'm going to let Binky talk about the finish.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite moves. I learned it from John Rollo several years ago, and you know, when I get a grip on your arm, I'm taking it. During this fight in the beginning, I wanted to stay standing, but he kept trying to come in, and
that hurt.
The third time that he came in, I just said to myself, all right, you want to see how my jiu-jitsu is? Let's go. So he got a chance to see how my jiu-jitsu is. You know, I didn't just start training jiu-jitsu. I'm a black belt under John. And like I said, that's one of the moves that John taught me several years ago, and I can hit it from anywhere. But this is my fourth win at Shogun, fourth win straight. I'm 6-1 at Shogun, but this is my fourth win straight, my fourth finish. So it just set me up for the next Shogun, which I'll be fighting for the belt, and I'm excited because my opponent has won 4 straight fights at Shogun 2, and we're going to have a nice war. And you know, I'm excited that John put this together. He worked hard, I worked hard, and we're about to dance and see who's going to bring that belt home. He just fought up in the CFFC. He beat Lester Casso, who beat me in 2011 at Bellator. So I'm really excited to fight a top-notch guy.
Well, we should be fair on your assessment there of fighting Lester. And Binky did win the first round of that fight, and it wasn't that he lost. He incurred a knee injury in the fight,
Yes.
Almost a non-contact injury, really. He went down and couldn't continue, and that was why he lost to Lester. So yeah. I got to, you know, take up for him there. You know, yeah. He was being humble, but yeah, he had a knee injury occur that wound up causing the fight to come to a halt. He is fighting a tough opponent. You know, Binky's fighting Francisco Asada. Francisco has won 4 straight in the cage. This will be for the 145-pound belt. So, you know, Binky and I, it's pretty cool because we grew up together. Yeah. So we've known each other since we were kids. You know, we knew each other through high school. Binky was at St. Joe. I was at McDonough. Then we separated ways, and then we kind of paths crossed again through the world of jiu-jitsu, honestly.
Yes.
So, you know, we were up at the Battle at the Beach. Binky was competing up there. I was actually doing, like, they had pro guys doing, like, they would call them super fights. And I was representing Team Renzo Gracie against Team Maxercise or Team Balance. And, you know, Binky was at the show. We were like, what are you doing here?
Yeah.
And once we saw each other and Binky found out I was training, he started coming down and training with us. And, you know, we've basically been together in the world of mixed martial arts and jiu-jitsu ever since.
Yeah, it was so cool to find out that John was training with Renzo Gracie. You know, the Gracie family is the reason that I got into this. And he was linked to Renzo, and that was just such an honor to become part of that team. And, you know, throughout the years, I got a chance to train with Renzo and meet Renzo, and for my last 4 fights, I've been able to train with Renzo's cousin, Daniel Gracie, and it's all because I became part of the Renzo Gracie family, and that's been amazing training with him up in Philly. And, you know, him and John used to roll with each other to help. John used to help him get ready for some of his events probably about 10 years ago.
Yep.
And so it's been really cool how the Renzo Gracie team is connected like this. And, you know, we war together, you know, and Shogun Fights, I'm looking forward to this battle with Asada. It's going to be a war, but I'm going to be more than ready. And, you know, John's going to be on me, and the team that we have at Ground Control has grown so much that I'm just excited to see the next generation come up. You know, we got a guy named Tucker. He's fighting on Shogun card, and this is be his first pro fight. And
Yeah, Tucker Lutz.
yeah, he's a tough young kid, and I'm looking forward to seeing him go out there and do what he does.
Yeah, we got Tucker. Jesse Stern will be doing his second fight on the Shogun card. He won his first one. Angelo Di Pasquale is going to be making his debut in October. He just fought his last amateur fight, choked a kid unconscious in 33 seconds. So Angelo's ready to go, and
Yeah.
you know, I'm kind of excited. I like seeing our new talent come up, but I'm even more excited because I believe that you know, Binky has a great shot to win a belt and bring it back to the gym. And it's, you know, what's really cool is that he's going to have an opportunity to fight in front of his hometown crowd, which unfortunately I never got to do. We used to have to go out of state, and Binky the same early on. You know, we were always traveling from Jersey to Russia. You know, we had been for doing these fights, and you know, I kind of in my head thought, you know, why isn't it legalized here in Maryland? We need to get this thing moving. You know, so that we had the opportunity to bring up our local talent, showcase the talent, and help these guys make the jump to the next level, which is obviously the UFC.
Yeah. And it's like John said, going back to 2007 when I signed with Bodog Fights. My first fight with Bodog was in New Jersey. It was pretty insane against a guy named Nick Aguilar.
Yeah,
We had a war. Yeah, it was. I lost a split decision, and then my second fight was against Vladimir Zenin from Russia. Me and John went all the way to Moscow. It was insane, and I still remember John being up in the middle of the night trying to get MMA sanctioned in the state of Maryland. And you know, I was just laughing. I was like, my man is up in the middle of the night pushing it, and now look at us. You know, Shogun13, you know, and that was just from all John's hard work, just trying to make it happen. You know, he pushed and worked a lot with Nick Limbo from New Jersey.
Yeah,
and
definitely Nick played a big part.
Yeah, used the laws from New Jersey and the first laws for the UFC, and now it's here. And like John said, I wish he would have been able to got a chance to fight in Shogun. I've been blessed. You know, I was on the first Shogun 1, and now I'm here with Shogun 13 and fighting for the belt. So this is really cool. And I remember the first Shogun, when I walked out, everybody always laughed, saying I was standing there when I first came out, and they called my name, and why was I just standing there? I actually froze. You know, when I walked out, you know, all I could go back was when I was a kid watching LL Cool J perform at the Civic Center. And now here I am coming out, and 5,000-6,000 people were screaming my name, and you know, I was like, I just froze for a few seconds, and then I saw my opponent, Jason McLean, pacing back and forth in the cage, and I just zoomed in, and then I was on, and I went out there and had a awesome fight with him. So that was pretty.
You
pretty
won the
cool.
fight too.
Yeah.
So yeah, Ben, let's talk a little bit about Francisco Asada and how you view him as an opponent. I mean, I'm sure you've gotten the opportunity to watch him several times now. You know, you guys sometimes not so easy because you guys are fighting on the same card. But you know, what do you think of Francisco? What do you think he brings to you know, to the table?
He's a tough opponent. I'm so excited to fight him. You know, he likes to throw you know, 1-2s and some nice leg kicks, but he loves to be on the ground. You know, when he fought Lester, he kept taking him down and, you know, doing ground and pound. My jiu-jitsu is a little bit better than Lester's, and then my wrestling is a lot better than Lester. So, you know, when he takes his shots, I'm gonna be sprawling. You know, we're gonna see what happens. But I plan to just go out there and be in the best shape that I can be in and push the pace on him and see where he really is. You know, my goal is to push the pace and make him crack. But mentally, I'm ready. I'm more than ready for this fight. And then it's for the belt, and that'll be history. You know, 10 years from now, they'll be saying who was the first featherweight champ for Shogun, and I always say that kid from Baltimore, Binky Jones. You know, and you know, John's already going down in history, you know, for bringing MMA to the state of Maryland. So I want to go down right next to him, winning that belt. So when they say them guys from Maryland, born and raised, you know, they did their thing.
People around know, especially up and down the East Coast, if you're talking, not to be cocky, but if you're talking mixed martial arts in Maryland, you're talking me, you're talking Binky, and you're talking ground control.
Yes.
You know, I was the first person from the state to really fight at a high level. You know, I was the first person in the Maryland, Delaware, Virginia area to be awarded a black belt from Renzo Gracie, which obviously is an honor. You know, Binky now has, you know, when I stepped back from the fight game and started to focus on our gyms and focus on bringing Shogun here, you know, to bring mixed martial arts to the state of Maryland, Binky was the guy really that carried the flag for us. So, you know, I kind of am very happy to see, you know, a guy that's been a lifelong friend who now has the opportunity to go out here and win a title in front of his hometown crowd. And like Binky said, you know, this is an opportunity to get put in the history books. You know, he could be the first, you know, welterweight champion out of the state of Maryland, period, on this kind of level. So, you know, I'm excited for the fight. You know, I hope the fans will be excited for the fight. It's October 24th, Royal Farms Arena. You can go to Shogun13 for any information. And, you know, we're just ready to go ahead and get it on.
Yeah, I'm excited. So make sure you're there, guys. October 24th, Shogun Fights 13.